Hello and welcome to the program We Are Selling. Each week we tackle one of these great topics and give you the context and the content of the answer that allows you to bring it into your game. And today, joining me, one of our great coaches of the Australian real estate world, Mr. Tom Panos. Tom, welcome aboard.
Hey Lee, good to see you again. Love doing these short, sharp podcasts. We're getting some good feedback from them, and I know that you say that people are enjoying the format and you're getting, thousands of downloads of these podcasts. Well done.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being part of it. Tom, let's hit today's topic, which is stick to the game plan you know. A lot of people in a changing market think everything has to change, yet they've had 2 years of great results. They've got a rhythm, they've got a sequence. The media scares them off and they go to a completely new plan, which was not the plan. Tom, you've got your own thoughts on this. Take us into the coaching tip of sticking to the game plan.
Run to auctions. Don't run away from them in a changing market. Lee, there's a lot of real estate agents and the data is very clear. I'm seeing it. The proportion of properties that are going to the market, private treaty versus auction, has shifted in the last few months. Many real estate agents that have had a few negative experiences with auctions that haven't sold and they felt embarrassed talking to their vendors decide that they're going to move off a system that did work for them and they start going down the path of private treaty. All the data, whether you're looking at CoreLogic RP data, Price Finder, they'll measure success of properties in days on market, private treaty versus auctions. Even with a lower clearance rate, auctions wins out, Lee.
And the reason for that, Tom, because it's such a valid point, is price equals time. In an auction environment, you're removing the price issue, whereas in a private treaty environment, you've reintroduced the timing issue of, well, I'm going to wait for it to drop till it comes to the buyer engagement level. So if price equals time, auction removes price but brings in time. So within 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on the campaign, we'll get the buyer engagement level from the market. In this whole thing of sticking to the game plan, we've got the correct marketing. You've got to use better marketing than ever now. We've got the right information going to the buyers like an IM of everything about the house. So pricing isn't in the way at this point, and the owner is neutral to saying, well, how did they respond? The fact that people would even go back to private treaty at this moment, which removes time, unless you're doing timed sale or a timed auction, you're still bringing a timeline into it. But I agree with you, Tom. If auctions being your main method of getting results, why would you change that game plan now? You're looking at, but it got passed in. Private treaty's forever passed in.
Yeah, Lee, well said. What's got to change is your definition of success with auction. To all our listeners, viewers, if they're watching or if they're listening, let me say to you, shift auction day as the defining moment of full time. Full time is not auction day. Full time is probably a few weeks after auction. So you might turn around and say, I'm going to redefine what success for an auction means to me. It means it's either going to sell before the day, it's going to sell on the day, or it's going to sell within 21 days of the day. And what the data shows at the moment, Lee, is the amount of properties that are selling when you use those 3 time frames are exactly the same as previously. There's only one difference. The amount of properties that were being sold before or on the day has decreased and they've shifted to be selling after the day. And the reason why that happens is probably because you've got a vendor who's gone through the process and accept the reality of the marketplace and within a very short time post-auction gets the property sold. Or sometimes, Lee, what happens is a buyer finds out about the property during the auction and for whatever reason doesn't get their act together to buy it at auction, but buys it shortly after, or it's the bidder from the auction that was 50 grand short that takes a few days of vendor and buyer negotiation to sell afterwards. So just redefine what success as an auction means. And Lee, let me just say, I can't help but notice this. Real estate agents that use the auction system are happier for 2 reasons. Number one, rescissions drop dramatically because once it's sold, it's sold. You don't have Bob the butcher uncle that's jumping in and saying, hey, listen, I don't buy now. Like I know you've had an offer that's accepted. but this home will probably be worth 10% less in 3 months' time. It's going to go down. So it eliminates people changing their minds because it's an unconditional sale. And then the second reason why I want to urge all your listeners to be using the auction system, it gives you a process on vendor management on steroids, and it gives you a process of prospecting on steroids, because every time you've got an auction property, you're accustomed to doing a certain amount of activities on that property. And that gives you a reach, not only of selling that property, but the opportunity to do other listings post that auction.
This is so powerful. And a couple of observations from the Sell platform. We've got a lot of people using Sell now for private treaty. So they're putting the property on. Sometimes they put a timeline on that. But even in private treaty, if you've got 3 or 4 people that do show interest at the right time, turn it into a timed auction that you're going to do this Friday, because then you won't need a 66W. They've entered auction conditions. So when you explain to a purchaser, yeah, it's for sale, it was under private treaty, but we've got 3 people involved now. We're now going to shift that to a timed auction. It times out on Friday. You need to register, put your very best offer forward. No rescission. You've entered auction conditions. And the auction went for 3 days. No 66W required. Like, when have we ever had that sort of power? Part of the game plan now is to be nimble. And Tom, another observation that we've seen from the Sell platform is a lot of owners don't want to go to auction because they have this mental visual fear that everyone's going to be on my lawn, all the neighbours with their dog, and it gets passed in and it's embarrassing. And the agent's got that fear that I'll be on the lawn standing next to Tom the auctioneer and there's no one there and I'm fearful of being embarrassed. Well, put it virtual. Put it in a place where the only place where people go actually to buy property is online, where they register to bid or follow. And a virtual auction means the owner doesn't have anyone on their lawn. You get discretion, but it still allows you to use the auction process.
Yeah, well said, well said. That's one of the luxuries that have come out of the COVID clarity situation. So, Lee, I would just say to people, run to auction, don't run away from them. Your platform that provides the ability for people to have the best of both worlds, to be there if they want to be at home if they want to be, just makes it really easy for people to buy real estate in the current environment. The biggest client I work with is Kaloshi. I work with them fortnightly. They did $51 million in fees. One office. Let me tell you what their core strategy is. Double down on auctions. That is it. Double down. And then look, they're not in the heart of Sydney and Melbourne where it has always been an auction culture. Being on the Gold Coast, auctions haven't been the main method. I mean, sure, the Bells through Ray White's service have always been an auction type business, but success leaves clues, Lee. You go around the country, you train a lot of offices of people. Can't you just see people that are winning in real estate are often winning in auctions?
Tom, couldn't agree more. Excellent tip. Thanks for appearing again on We Are Selling. We look forward to you appearing next week on the program.
Thank you, Lee.